Still manages. Okay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sanibel Online Writers Conference. We're so happy you're here. I'm super excited to introduce this next group in their session on creating community through literature. I think that's community is really important. And on that note, I do want to mention our Sanibel community that we can't be with physically today because of the hurricane. We're still thinking about them. We're hoping that we're there with them in spirit right now, and they're here with us, and hopefully some people are tuning in. We want to give you guys a resource to help out people on Sanibel that are hurting right now. One of the resources that we'd like to share with you, and the great team at the Mighty Blaze will put this in the comments for you, a link to Put It On Pete's tab. It's a local organization that operates a relief fund for hospitality workers on Sanibel Island. And one of the cool things about this site is that you can specify where the donations go to. If there's a particular place that you like to visit when you were on the island for the conference in years past, or when you've been, visiting for other reasons, you can send that money straight to those people, the people that work there and that help us. I don't know about you guys, but when I'm writing, I need lots of coffee, I need lots of food, and these are the people that are, keeping us comfortable while we're on the island. So if you have the means and the will, click on that link and throw a couple dollars their way. Every little bit helps right now. So in case you missed our first session this morning, I'm going to reintroduce two of the hosts of the Writing Class Radio podcast, Andrea Askowitz and Allison Langer. Andrea and Allison have built up a vibrant writing community in South Florida and beyond through their podcast, writing classes, and live events. Joining them for this session is Jenna Blum, who, along with being an internationally best-selling author, you can check out her recent memoir, Woodrow on the Bench, is the co-founder and CEO of, and I'm reading this off of Jenna's bio on her website, literary social media marketing company, A Mighty Blaze. But I think that description kind of sells them a little bit short because they dominate social media, yes, but they also stream author profiles, they host a slew of weekly writing programs, and they help conferences like this one for the last 3 years, I might add, take our programming online when we need to. So we can't thank the Mighty Blaze team enough for stepping up to help us keep the conference alive on short notice this year. And as you can see, all three of these women have worked hard to build and nurture communities around their passion. So I'm going to step aside while Andrea, Allison, and Jenna talk to you about creating community through literature. Thanks, guys.
I just want to ask, how does Jenna function in this world? How do you have time to do anything? You are just the epitome of do everything well.
Oh my God. No, thank you for asking that. But you guys just saw me in the green room shove a whole piece of string cheese in my mouth in under 30 seconds, like a snake swallowing a goat. So that's kind of how I do stuff. And I don't actually write that much anymore. I just, pour around on social media trying to create community. So that's the answer to that. And also, why is my hair so flat compared to your hair?
Is that a problem?
Humidity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Trade.
Yeah, this is foremost on my mind today. So I already know from producing our early, yes, I am the octopus woman. I already know from producing our early morning panel with our amazing producer, Bosie Rand, that you guys bring the community because we had insane numbers this morning watching that. Thank you to everybody who is watching.
Yay.
Oh my God, where are all these people coming from? This is so fantastic. So tell me about how you have managed to create such a robust following. I would like to know because I need that following.
We have a following?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Andrea is the biggest whore there is. She is so good at it. And everyone loves her. And she's not only that, but her classes and her teaching, it's amazing. So I feel it's not just her good looks and her puffy hair. It's she's a really great person who works really hard.
Oh, that's what whore is, right? One of my favorite memes that my friend Mark Cecil sends me pretty much relentlessly is about the Blaze and about writing in general. But it says, increased whoredom ahead. It's like a road sign that says that. And then another one that has like a Don Draper looking dude saying, a whore's work is never done. And I just want to say, this is what we call like shilling for our writing life. Like somebody has to do it, right? So like, how did you two hoes meet each other? This is how
Us two hoes. Wait, I just want to put I think that I totally own that I'm a whore. Like I'm all over it being a whore. But I think that just really means being social.
No,
like
it's asking people to do stuff. And that is really hard for women in general, but people like, also, I think.
that's true.
Well, maybe women specifically and people in general. I think it's hard. And you wear the sandwich board 24/7.
So true. So true. In fact, my shirt says, call my agent. I mean, if I can remove my hair from it and also showcase my breasts, but that's kind of like this.
What does her shirt say? I missed it. All I was doing was staring at the breasts.
Pay attention. It says, call my agent.
Beautiful.
Thank you. I mean, increased whoredom ahead. The whoredom never stops.
Okay, I'm not competing with you girls there.
Okay.
No. Okay, so how did we meet? I actually heard her class advertised on NPR. And I was like, a writing class. Okay, I could do that. And I had just gone through the death of my child and I was in a really bad place. And I was like, okay, how am I going to get myself out of here? And I'll start writing. Maybe that will, you're looking for something because you're like, this life can't be like this forever. So I started taking her class and immediately, fell in love with her and her teachings. And I started writing. And the more I shared, the more I realized I was going to be okay. Mostly because of the community. You get in there and you realize like, man, everybody's just as fucked up.
So true.
That was a well said, very succinctly said. Yeah. And then that was how old is Sloan now?
He's 12. That was 12 years ago.
12 years ago. So Allison's pretty much just kept taking my class. And at that point, I was teaching a class at Miami-Dade. But then I went solo because I didn't need.
We asked her to. We hired her. 10 of us hired you, remember? Yeah, we were like, no, we need you.
And then a bunch of students just kept coming back and students kind of never leave. And then now Allison teaches classes too. So that's how it started 12 years ago.
Instant love at first sight, or Andrea, were you like, ew, get away from me, weird stalker?
No. Love at first sight. Mm-mm.
She wanted literally before she walked into class. She's like, hi, who are you? And I was like, I'm in your class. Who are you? Like whatever. And then she's like, oh, you live near me? Can you give me a ride?
Can I see your house? Like, can I braid your hair? That's so funny. Like most of the people I know are like, I don't braid anybody else's hair, I have to say, but I draw the line at some things. But most of the friends I have in my life, like my family friends, like people I spend holidays with, like that level of family friend, are people I met in my writing community at Grub Street Writers, who then became like my little pirate crew during the pandemic. And most of them are on the Blaze, including our producer today, Julie Gerstenblatt, whose book is actually coming out next year. Daughters.
I want to talk about her book.
Yes, I do too. But I think it's such an amazing thing when your writing group becomes your friend family and also your family. Like when I say Blaze fam in all my emails to them or online or on Twitter or whatever, like I mean it. These people are my family. So even though like we have been talking about whoredom and in your first panel today, dildos, like there's a very serious component to this. Like Allison, I did not know that you joined Andrea's writing group after the death of a child. Like I cannot imagine. Can you talk a little bit about how the community saved you?
Yeah, I mean, in more ways than just the fact that I had a place to go, but I was bottling it up. I was now labeled this grief expert and this grieving person, and I didn't want that label. And it took me a while to start writing. I started writing about my dog. I couldn't get vulnerable. I just didn't want anyone to know what I was suffering through. And then little by little, I, started writing about, like Andrea pushed me, write about the thing you don't want to write about. And what I realized is instead of like keeping that distance between people, the more I wrote, the more people were drawn to me. And then my community grew. So I think that's what we love so much about a writing class.
I mean, Allison's experience is the reason we have writing class radio, because of the experience she had and that was your first writing class. It just took this very, very painful experience. She wrote about it. So now here it is, like sort of sitting on the side. Not that she's not sad or won't be sad, but now it's sort of like, and we've seen this with so many writers over the years, when they write about something that's really difficult, once you write about it, you have it, it's separate from you, and it loses some of its power over you. Mm-hmm. And the community understands. And so, yeah, I mean, I feel like writing class has ruined me for other people. Like, I just don't like regular people as much. I just don't.
I never liked regular people anyway. Sorry, regular people. You're all like, bitch. But
well, none of the people here are regular people. These are everyone here is a writing class person.
That's
and
true.
These are very, very special people.
Yeah, that's true. I have to say, I mean, because I always thought I was sort of a misanthrope at heart in general, and that didn't really like people, and then was always trying to seek out like the weirdos who are my tribe. Like, this is my text thread with all my writing people, like we call each other the weirdos, and that's very much true. But I have to say, like, going into people's houses for book clubs and like eating all their food and hearing them talk about my books, like, it has made me realize that I do find something to like in most people. Like, I'm a little Anne Frankie that way, but it's true that the writing tribe are my nearest and dearest and have totally spoiled me for other. And like, here I'm home. Like, here I can let my flat ass hair down and really be real.
I'll admit that I like anyone who likes me, but I especially love writing people.
What is people about the writing people? Like, why? Why do we love our?
They're vulnerable. It's not like boring cocktail conversation.
They're people who need people.
Yeah,
I
don't need to be needed, but I like to get the info.
Right.
Jenna, you wrote a book about your dog, correct?
Oh, thank you for asking. I did not pay her to ask. My agent would say, your product placement in there. My agent's French. So, like, yes, I did. It's coming out in paperback on freaking election day, like on 11/8. And I was like, publisher, do not effing do that. And they're like, too bad, we're doing it. But yes, I did write a book about my dog, Woodrow, my black lab, which the tagline is that it's about the last 7 months of his life and what they taught me while I sat on a park bench across from my Boston apartment with him. Which is true, but it's mostly about the community of people who helped us. And some of them were expected people, like friends and neighbors who, like, I tractor beamed in through sheer force of like, get over here. But then like total strangers came and started helping me with him. He was an 80-pound dog, and they helped me carry him in and out of my apartment and like brought us food. Like, one woman appeared out of the snow one day when he couldn't stand up and helped me stand him up, clean him up, and then disappeared again in the snow without even leaving any footprints. Like, that kind of community craziness. And I realized, because it was during the 2020 election lead up, that in a country that was so completely torn asunder by politics, that this love that every single person showed my ancient lab with his like 4 teeth and like mollusk breath was something that was worth writing about.
And I because I kind of am up my own ass with all the stuff I've been doing lately. I haven't had enough time to like kind of research how you got involved in writing and stuff like that. How is it that you got involved in the writing community and all that stuff?
I'm like, how do you not even know this just instinctively, like from the osmosis? You know, I have been a writer since I was 4, and it is an incredibly isolating thing. Like, I don't write well around other people. I don't write in cafes. I eavesdrop too much. I don't, write out of the house. But when Woodrow was very sick, I started inviting people into my house to write with me, and that made a big difference. And those were the people that I started the Blaze with, like when the pandemic hit. But I became involved in the community because of Grub Street Writers, which is this writing school in Boston that caters to adults. And I basically used my writing classes, which started out being short fiction, poetry, and now I run a novel workshop that they call the Vatican because it's by submission only, and like only those people can get in. And then the writers stay in year after year after year to work on their books. So those people were like my petri dish for like my friendships, my friend family. Then they became the Blaze. So that's how I got started. I have Grub to thank for that. And now Blaze is like its own thing. Like we have a lot of fun together, which it's so sad to see you girls don't have any fun together. Like I'm sorry.
I know. We hate each other.
Yeah. So puritanical. So sad. Like,
Yeah, it's a bummer.
yeah.
So let's talk now about the importance of getting in a writing class. And because before we started, we were talking to your student, Julie Gerstenblatt.
Student.
So,
Yeah,
right. We're all students.
We're all students of the craft, right?
Right. Okay. So she's in your writing group, let's say.
Yes.
And she told us that she wrote 4 novels. This is her 5th novel. And now this novel called Daughters of Nantucket is getting published with HarperCollins. And the really, really important thing I need to say about it is that she talks about a dildo that was given to one of the characters in the 1840s when a man is leaving his wife and he leaves her with a dildo so that she doesn't stray. It's the most important part of the novel.
Yeah. While he's at sea.
Yes, I should point out that the dildo, although I should never use point and dildo in the same sentence, but I should point out that dildo is made of scrimshaw. So the whole time Julie was writing this book, like not only did we have somewhat riotous workshop discussions about it, and also we're like trying to find memes, like surprisingly hard to find a GIF that is a scrimshaw dildo. But
what is scrimshaw?
Scrimshaw. Okay, scrimshaw. I actually have some scrimshaw here, although
what?
Dildo. Scrimshaw is like whalebone that's carved. I mean, I suppose you could use this, but I would not advise this.
Yeah, we recommend that.
And not a dildo, so do not try this at home. And meanwhile, Tom DeMarco's like, I'm losing all my funding. But anyway, this is scrimshaw. So this is what the ladies of Nantucket used to entertain themselves while their husbands were at sea. And the whole time we were having these discussions about Julie's book and trying to contain our like juvenile laughter, the marketing hoe in me is thinking, I think what the merch is going to be like for this book, for the book clubs. And they start like, for Instagrammers. But anyway, yeah. And I think
one of the scrimshaw dildo about Julie's book. Yeah.
Julie, note that. But one of the amazing things about the community of this class is that, and Julie's book is out on Pi Day 2023, by the way, so March 14th, that old scrimshaw feeling. But not only Julie, but Jane Roper, who is also on The Blaze, our Zeitgeist show, she has a book coming out in April. Like we have books coming out the next year. And we all sort of lifted each other up and kept each other going in the trenches of writing. So I would love to talk about that with you guys and like, 2 things, like what is the value of the community that you see most, and also like how do you start community, like how do you draw people to you? Because I think that, all joking about dildos aside, it's really sustaining to have this group who you do everything with.
Well, the way that I started is I actually started taking a class when I lived in LA. I'm with Terry Silverman, and I do recommend her class. Now it's online. It's through Creative Rights. And I came to Miami 16 years ago and started a live show called Lip Service. And that live show was a community feeling. I mean, it happened 4 times a year and people came. It was we had 8 storytellers each time telling a story out loud. And from there, I collect emails. So please put your email in the chat and tell us where you're from. And we will send you a link. Alice and I will send you a link to join what we have now are 2 online classes. They're not exactly classes. They're more like groups. They're an hour a week to write and share and get gentle feedback. They're awesome. But with that, with Lip Service and the live show, I did that for 9 years. And so it was like Allison told the story at Lip Service. Some of the people on panels earlier told stories, MJ Fiev and Joe Clifford. And anyway, with that, we started Writing Class Radio kind of with that list. Those were our original listeners. And then we just...
And I do think it's hard to find a place where you can just tune in and it's kind of affordable because writers, typically don't have a ton of money. And so we try to make it really affordable so that people can kind of jump in and take these classes every month and develop community, meet other people where they can bounce their ideas off other people. Because if you have to hire an editor every single time, it's very difficult. And, you know, Andrea and I have each other. So I'll send her a story. She sends me a story. But what's happening now is that we kind of think a lot alike. So now we sort of like to get other people's opinions too. So we send them out to other people in our classes or our groups. And the reason why we don't really call them classes, because we always feel like we're still students, and we also share in those classes. So people get to listen to our stories and give us feedback, because we find that feedback is really, really an important way to learn. So we also have a second draft class. So for people who are in the first draft, they can kind of jump in, and it kind of sounds like it's right the step before they get to something like what you have, where you're working on manuscripts and stuff like that. There are some people in there working on manuscripts, but
longer books.
Right. So that's the thing. I mean, I would love to know more about what your longer that class looks like, that group where you guys all share, you know, what your ideas for novels, and as you're going through and bouncing ideas off of each other and bouncing paragraphs and chapters.
Right. It's very debauched, obviously. I think one of the inspiring things about this discussion is how much room there is for everybody to contribute to each other's writing lives. Like, it sounds like what you girls are doing is a very generative and nourishing and nurturing environment for creating new pages and giving and receiving feedback. And you're both braver than I am, because I have never been able to inflict my own writing in progress on my writing workshop that I nominally teach, which means that I sit there with my coffee and like silently judge everybody. And, you know, not really, but I mean, I moderate discussion, and
No. I'm the poster child for like, okay, this first draft is diarrhea, and that's what you're supposed to do with the first draft.
Yes.
Now, if there's a tiny something in there that draws you in, let me know. Otherwise, I know it's, you know. And then there always is, Jenna, there's always one thing in everyone's diarrhea first draft. But our
sorry, go ahead.
Our second draft class, so we have 2 second draft classes, and those are there are only 9 people in that. And that's when people come with a full draft to workshop. So it's not first draft. We call it,
but it's still a personal essay. So it's still 1,200 words, you know, around 1,200 words.
So we're concentrating on shorter form. And a lot of our students are getting published in HuffPost, Washington Post, Girlfriend. We're doing really well also, but we don't have any published books right now.
And then that's to say that there are many, many, many people in there that couldn't care less about publishing. They just like the community. They just like writing. And that is super important too. And it's a bit of therapy. Like, I used to say that all the time, and Andrew's like, nah, don't say that. But
I don't mind saying that. I actually think, writing is therapy. I'm not against saying that. I'm down with that.
Yeah, I think writing, I think it is. Like, the trick for me is knowing a lot of the people I work with as well as I do, and then trying not to therapize the book. Yeah, and the person. Like, I run a traditional workshop where the writer is in the box. Wherein the writer is in the box. And so the writer gives us a writer letter, talks about his or her work, talks about process before we box that person up, and also gives us direction for what he or she wants in the discussion, and then they go in a box. And I kind of feel as though my job is to protect the writer's personality and character, like protect the writer's self, who's then like sort of in the stocks, right? So the conversation then is like incredibly craft focused, unless the writer, like it's concentrating on the book and not the writer. So if somebody says like, oh, I feel like you might be scared to address this, like, no, like that writer can't talk back. So I'm like, keep it on the book. Unless the writer comes out of the box and says, like the last class we had, the writer said, I need to know how to finish something. I've never finished a novel. Can we spend time in workshop talking about that? And that actually was one of the top 10 classes I ever taught, because we all just sat around, you know, one writer to another, and talked about our strategies for, as Tom so succinctly said, sifting for gold in the diarrhea. Like, in this case, it was like, you just have to finish that movement. You know, you just have to get that all out, and then you can sift for gold afterwards. But like, that's what we were talking about, is tips and hacks for that. So that was,
I've loosened up with the box a little bit, but yeah, I have.
We need to talk about the box. No box, no box.
Yeah, it's an interesting model. But I mean, someone mentioned NaNoWriMo, which is also a really good writing community. And I made a little list of people whose classes I've taken and I love and that I would just recommend. I mean, first of all, Writing Class Radio, and then second of all, Jenna Blum and A Mighty Blaze. Like those are the best. But there's also Sue Shapiro. If you're serious about getting yourself published in like a New York Times or a news outlet, she's your teacher. Amber Petty, another amazing teacher for like, she's a more gentle, but she's all about getting your stuff. Her whole thing is like, you know what, throw your stuff out there without worrying about it too much. And it's a really interesting take. Lily Danziger at Catapult, she does great classes. Ashley Renard and Allison Williams at Writer's Bridge. Their thing is like, how do you, they're like social media coaches, kind of. That's slightly different.
We need
I don't know. Those are some of the people that I love.
Writers need that. And if we can put those in the chat, that would be amazing. Also, we're getting like a mob, like there's an angry mob in the comments who all want to see the dog.
Oh.
The dogs right away. Thank you. I didn't want writers coming after us in a mob community. Yeah, we are big fans of dogs here.
That brings me to another community situation where there is a dog. I have a dog too, but he's not in here.
Yeah.
Another way to join a writing community is through Facebook. And there are private Facebook groups that can sometimes act like a mob. So I would be careful. But I also think they're important, and they're called binders. Do you know them, Jenna?
Yes, I do. The binders full of novelists, the binders full of women, but I am a friend of the binders full of novelists, indeed. So can you talk about that a little more?
Binders full of creative nonfiction, binders full of memoirists. So there are these private Facebook groups that have like 20,000 women, some of them, and they share who to submit your stories to. Some of them share like, hey, this is my first page. Like they do a lot of online sharing. Actually, Writing Class Radio has a private Facebook group that I would love for you all to join. And if I were smart enough, I would put the link in the chat. Do you guys know how to do that?
We do. We have been linking like
but to the private Facebook group, because it's what happens in there is so it's Writing Class Radio Facebook group. I don't know how to get to it. Sorry. But what we do in there is we talk about who to submit your work to and whether or not your work is ready and stuff like that.
Dude, check this out.
And people also will talk about challenges that they're having and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's always helpful because, to get rejected like 500 times, like you just kind of want to hear that it's going to be okay, that maybe somebody will eventually come around. Somebody's going to like what you do. And we all go through dry spells. So I really think that it's important to continue to get support. And that's what these groups really do too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they do.
We're all at such different places in the Ferris wheel too. If you're writing, whether you're writing short stories or whether you're writing a longer project, I tend to write novels or longer form pieces. But there's always this sort of generative stage, and then there's the revision stage, which is really hard for both of those stages. Actually, are hard for me, but I hate generating the most. And then there's marketing. So there's this whole and then there's like sort of a lying fallow period for a lot of us. And it's really nice to talk to other writers and know that you're not crazy going through that. And I think for me, the most important thing about writing community is that unlike people in the real world who we were talking about before, and we're like, we're not interested in you bitches. Like the writers actually believe in each other's characters. We believe in imaginary people who aren't there. And I feel as though sitting around a table, whether it's a Zoom table or a StreamYard table or an actual table with other people who believe in each other's imaginary people, makes them real. And there's just sort of a levitational energy that happens when people put their creative belief and compassion together. That is just an unparalleled experience in my life. And that is always what I am striving for.
Yeah.
Did you see someone's message
saying that that she doesn't stop? I think it was her last name was Christy Peterson Schooner. She doesn't give up until she submitted her story 30 times. It's pretty good. That's really good.
And she's never hit 30, which is my first novel. I submitted to 47 agents. And I know some of my novelists who are on sub now querying agents have spreadsheets of 200 agents that they've been querying before they get just the one. So like, don't give up, don't give up, don't give up. But this is like what we can do for each other is to say, keep going. Like, you're not crazy.
Allison's hanging her head. Yeah.
I'm at 45, but I gave
for.
up. I mean, I'm not giving up completely. When I was talking to the Nantucket person, Daughters of Nantucket, Julie. When I was talking to Julie, and she said that she published a couple of them non-traditionally and stuff like that, self-published or whatever. I'm thinking, okay, I've always like been tossing that around too. So I know this isn't really a publishing conversation, but how does the community support that? So maybe there's a conversation there.
There's like a panel in that. We're doing a panel on publishing. Where's Tom? Tom has like left the building.
Okay. So you guys tune into that panel.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know if we're doing that panel, but if we're not, I mean, one of the things that we've done on Blaze, and this will make everybody automatically hate me in this conversation, but we don't feature authors who are self-published because of bandwidth. Like right now we are like featuring people every Tuesday, like all the books that come out in small presses we do, hybrid presses we do, like She Writes we do. We've been doing like Amazon first authors or authors, and their books need to be visible and lifted up and shown to the readers. And we started doing, I should back up and say for my commercial for Blaze is that we started this group during the pandemic in March 2020 because all of our friends' book tours were being canceled in real life. In that 1 week where everything winked out. Right. And Caroline Levitt and I got in touch with each other and said, like, we're just not going to let this happen. Like, we're not going to let people's work of 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years just go into the darkness. We're going to put all of these little flames together and make a mighty blaze. So every Tuesday we feature books that are pubbed, and then we have author shows now. Like I know we're so hot that Allison
Hot flash.
No, it's a mighty blaze.
That's it.
It's a blaze flash. It's a blaze hot flash. And I feel you, girl, but also a different panel. But I think that like we just have so many authors who are coming to us, and now we have like a crime time show and a cooking show and a thoughtful bro show and a women's fiction show and all of these different shows featuring different authors, lit fic for mid-list authors who are amazing. And so we just couldn't do indie pub because like where would we put everybody? So, but I think that like increasingly what I'm seeing is as the big 12 shrinks to the big 5, shrinks to the big like 2 or whatever, like people are investigating different channels. So I'm wondering what your community thinks about this.
You mean us or
y'all?
I think we're less about, I feel like the book publishing, like there's a portion of that, like people who are trying to get published their books and stuff. But I think we've been so focused on like personal essay, and that's what our podcast is mostly about. So we stay within that sort of as far as giving advice, because we have some experience with getting rejected, but we don't have enough experience with getting published to be giving that advice. And as far as books go, like personal essays, yes.
Yeah. I mean, Jenna and I had shared the same agent for a while. My first book, My Miserable Lonely Lesbian Pregnancy, was published 150 million years ago. I've written another book called No One Knows I'm Famous, and I have a huge spreadsheet of agent rejections because I split with our agent, and good terms, but for lots of reasons that happens all the time. But anyway, so I'm in that moment where I've been in this moment for years, really. So yeah, I've been focusing much more on getting shorter essays published.
And for people who are looking for community for that, I mean, Andrea is the queen. Like we have people send us just like a couple of sentences about what their essay's about. And she can be like, okay, try this, 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 and this, and here are the people to contact. And that's where our community really shows up.
Yeah, right. I've gotten to know the publishing world of essays.
Yeah, we had a question from Haley, who has been amazing all day, like bringing the party. Is the process to get published really that grueling like everyone says it is? And Haley, I have 2 answers for you. And the first answer is yes. And second is there is help out there, which this conversation should prove. And self-publishing can be a good thing, but then you have to do all your own distribution and marketing. So then you would need help with that. But if you were, for instance, looking to place personal essays, you might not come to me. You might come to me, or you might come to the Blaze for like help in, self-whoredom, like marketing yourself as a writer, which writers need to do. You could come to me for like how to write a query letter to a traditional publisher, but you can go to Andrea and Allison if you want to write and place personal essays. And so I love the fact that there are all of these life rafts out there for writers to climb onto that are made of community. And there are like people on these life rafts already who will help you. How do you guys find like your targeted community? You know what I mean? Like if Blaze helps put writers online when they've already published, if like Blaze also helps you with marketing, Grub Street will help you develop all sorts of different writing. Like you guys are doing mostly personal essays. Like how do you find everything in this vast Babel wilderness called the internet?
And what do you mean by how do we find the students? How do we find our podcast listeners? Like what exactly are you asking?
I mean, I don't know what I'm asking. I mean, what I'm asking,
how do we build our base? Is that what you're asking?
I don't know. What I'm asking, I guess, is sort of a follow-up to the question, how would you advise readers to find the people they need to get that encouragement? Like, how do you find your specific community as a reader? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, as a reader and as a writer. I love that you said as a reader, because one of the things that we haven't mentioned yet is it's so important to read. And I subscribe to Memoir Monday, and that's just a curated, every Monday I get like 12 really good essays that are curated by Sari Botten. I trust her. It's called Memoir Monday. It's free to subscribe. And I also subscribe to Sunday Short Reads. And I do that just because I want to know like who's writing what and what's out there. And so it's really important to keep reading. I think the best and most important way to be part of a community and get involved is to get in a writing class or get in a writing group. And everybody at the Sanibel Writing Conference is here. I mean, it's such a bummer that we're not in person, because in person, you really get to know people. And a community is the same in any business. It's like, I mean, now Jenna and I are friends, right, Jenna? And so, yeah. Okay. So so when I'm like, hey, I really need help with, the publishing of my book, Jenna's my contact, because now we're connected. And Jenna's going to be like, I wrote this essay and it's fucking blazing. How do I get it? Who do I send it to at the Huffington Post? And I'm like, okay. Like, that's how it works. And isn't that true how any business works?
Yeah.
And I see that people are talking about TikTok and seeing people talking and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be TikTok if you're not a TikTok person. It could be like our Facebook group. It could be, Jenna's groups and stuff like that. Like you got to find like the people you relate to and that you feel comfortable with. And then you will feel comfortable speaking up and asking questions. I mean, you just definitely will.
And
it's not intimidating.
You can also create these connections online. Twitter is really, there's a whole writing community on Twitter, and for me, it just takes time being on Twitter, but there's people that I only know through Twitter, and I can tweet at them and ask them questions, or I can. And I post on Twitter that we're looking for submissions, call for submissions. That happens on Twitter all the time. So it's a slow and big and like daunting process, the social media side.
But I have found that Twitter is really good with that, because I've contacted when I was working on my wrongful conviction novel, and I would read every author I could find that was writing about that, especially white authors, because I was having trouble because I was writing about a Black main character. And so I kept writing, like, how did you do that? Who's your agent? Like, how can I reach out? Like, do you have any advice for me? And almost every single author got back to me on Twitter.
I want to mention, there's a opportunities of the week is a Twitter. This woman, Sonia Weiser, skulls Twitter and puts in it twice a week. She sends out opportunities of the week, and she finds all the calls for submissions. Opportunities of the week. That's a good one to follow.
We're putting this up here. Yeah, I think there are so many communities. And Margaret, who actually is a booktuber, who's one of our producers on Blaze, and she's an author. She just mentioned like, oh, be careful on Twitter because it's going down on flames.
That's true.
Promoting us, promoting the conference a few minutes ago when I was producing a different panel. And people are like, I'm on Mastodon now. And I'm like, oh, I don't effing have time to go learn a new platform. So I kind of feel like what you said before is so relevant, that you find the community that you're comfortable with, that feels like your speed. Like the reason I knew that I was old was I was like, I am just not doing book talk. Of course, I know I'm doing book talk, but I'm like, I'm doing book talk because I don't want to.
I said the same thing. I actually like TikTok. I just think it's fun.
It's just like, it's great video.
Ain't nobody got time for all this.
Right. Yeah. So, and I actually am on Twitter. Like, I think this is a whole, like, one of the things that I teach and that Blaze teaches is social media marketing for writers. And that's a whole different thing. But one of the things I would advise people to do if you're searching for community is like, take it bite by bite. Like you take it sip by sip, and like maybe one day like go over to Twitter and see what's going on in hashtag writers community, hashtag writers of Twitter. You can use hashtags on Instagram the same way, like memoirists of Instagram, memoirists of Twitter, like whatever. Right. You can use hashtags in different social media to find your communities, and on Facebook you just have to plug whatever you're interested in the search bar. But yeah, we have a lot of audience questions and we have only like 4 minutes left, and then I have to like gong us out. I cannot believe how fast this has gone. So Remy is asking, do you have an underappreciated site for the reading community? Great question.
I don't understand.
What is a site that you might recommend for, I guess, for readers and writers who are readers that
essays or novels, I'm wondering, or memoir or whatever.
I don't know. We do actually. I know. Writingclassradio.com. It's an unappreciated site, and it has so much on it.
List. Yeah, the resources we offer so much.
So many resources, like stories we study, prompts,
classes,
conferences, tips,
books that we love.
I hope Jenna's is on there because I think it is.
It best be. I'm gonna go look.
If it isn't, it will be.
Right? Gone.
I'm happy because the ones I know are novels, but 2 minutes left. What?
2 minutes left. All right, Julie, throw us up another question that we can all answer in 2 minutes. No pressure. Oh, Jesus.
They don't change your writing. They will suggest. Sometimes they will ask you to do more or take something out. Like I've tried, like the Washington Post, I sent them something that was like 2,500 words and they're like, lose 1,000 and we'll look at it. And so Andrea was like, I can do that. So yeah, sometimes they ask you to cut or, actually fit into their guidelines, but I haven't found that
always do what they say.
Yeah.
That's my note.
Yeah, for nonfiction, you get to comb stuff out, which is one of my favorite things. For fiction, it's a negotiation. Let's just put it that way. But the writer always wins because it's your name on the cover. Do you see any value in communities that aren't reading writing communities in your own writing? Yes.
I like my tennis clinic. And I do try to get those guys to come to class.
Yes.
Because I'm a whore. Go back to that.
Always be whoring. Where is my always be whoring t-shirt? I like I like all communities actually because they're communities of people who are interested in things that I am interested in. So I choose selfishly. Like I love my dog. I'm a dog mom. I like dog communities, and then I tend to drag them, as you said, Andrea, into my book communities. Mm-hmm. So yeah, anything that you're interested in, and I think it also helps remind you that there is like a life outside writing. It's a minuscule life without much meaning or value.
And also, every single person in the world has a story. So many stories. Mm-hmm. So every community is a good community. We just love writing communities.
It is, except for certain political communities. But that is my sign to gong me off because we're not talking about politics, right, Tom? We're done here. We are done here. So everybody, we are going to go to our next classroom and our next panel. But oh my God, I love hanging with you guys so much. Can I be your friend now?
You're considered a friend.
Oh my God.
Yes.
A little community of 3. Nobody else can get in, bitches. But go to writing class.
Unless you bring your dildo.
I mean, I will bring my scrimshaw.
Yeah. Scrimshaw.
Okay.
Excellent.
No. We traumatized everybody. Mic drop, goal met. Thank you so much for being here and doing 2 panels with us today. We
love it. We love Sanibel. That's the best community.
Yeah. And send us your submissions. We'll take them. We want them. Yeah.